So how has that changed your views about, I mean, Indonesia is one of the biggest country with a Muslim population, but how has that changed your perception of the religion? Because it's one of the things that's becoming a point of contention at the moment in the world, this relationship between, you know, the Muslim world and then the Western.
I think to me personally, it's been very important, of course, on the personal level, but in terms of understanding how people feel and think. And that's also why I found Indonesia extremely interesting, because I think the way most Muslims in Indonesia approach their religion is that it's mostly a personal issue. It's mostly about personal development, about doing the right things, about being a responsible person. That appeals a lot to me, and I wanted to learn more about that. That's one of the things I found interesting, and also the fact that in Indonesia, people of different religions, mostly they live perfectly nicely together. Yeah? And in Indonesia, like in my family, I've discovered there are lots of families where some people are Muslim, some are Christian, some are something else, and they live peacefully together. I think in any country, I think it's important to remember that the majority always has the biggest responsibility. And I think that's been good in Indonesia, that just like a parent, if the children fight, you take care of the smallest one first. I think it should be the same way, protect the smallest ones first.
Mm-hmm. So what's your perspective on this film, The Innocence of Muslim, that is now a lot of people in Muslim countries, particularly in the Middle East, are very angry about this film. What's your perspective on the reaction and what's happening in the world?
I think it's a very unfortunate situation. I think it's very unfortunate that people's feelings are hurt. I think, as many have made clear also here in Indonesia, that resorting to violence is not the answer in such a situation. I think also, unfortunately, in a way, if the reactions are very strong, it gives a lot of power to people who just want to insult. There was a very interesting article in Jakarta Post this morning, where somebody wrote that actually by giving these people so much attention, you're doing what then people do what they want them to do. These people want attention. That's why they produce pictures or films that could be considered insulting. So I think the best would be that we try to respect each other and try to ignore it when somebody does something bad.
But obviously, ignoring is something that they can't do. But what do you think is the actual cause of the kind of the gap of understanding that seemed to have emerged in the world between those who perhaps think it's okay to express yourselves in certain ways, and if some people get offended, yes, it's okay to protest, but not to resort to violence. But the reality is that violence has been enacted because of the existence of this video, and it's something that perhaps we all need to ask ourselves why the reaction is like that.
I think respect is a key word. Yeah, I think we need to promote respect, dialogue, tolerance between people, between religions, and I think the best way is by reaching out to each other, not throwing inflammable things on the table. I think it is a very difficult situation, because I think in many Western countries, politicians have been quite clear about the fact that they don't think that these expressions are good in any way, but at the same time, according to laws on freedom of expression, you can't really say that this is illegal. It's not good. It's not helpful. It's not illegal either. I think it will be important to promote more understanding. Also that about how this affects people. Why should I say something, even if it's not illegal, that makes you sad and angry? What do I gain from that? If you say something that makes me angry, what do I gain of losing temper? Respect, tolerance, patience are important keywords, I think, in all religions.
Well, the fact is, in many parts of the world, including in Indonesia, and I also see in Norway, extremism is one of the phenomena that's undermining this desire for us to live harmoniously and to be tolerant of each other. Now, Norway, as a country, is not immune, apparently, to terrorism. Now, what's happening with that? Is there a change now in the way that the country is thinking about its tolerance level, so to speak? And are they, what's the sentiment like at the moment after the shooting last year? Basically the massacre that killed so many people.
Yes, you're referring to the shootings and bombings 22nd of July last year in Oslo. That is a big national trauma to Norwegians. We are a small nation, so many people knew personally families that were affected. I think one of the best things afterwards was how people managed to come together, that they did not let this extreme violence lead to hatred. Instead, people managed to say, we need more democracy, more tolerance, more dialogue. Of course, it also led to a big debate about security levels. How do we protect ourselves without changing our way of life? Because we did not want terrorism make us change our way of life. We want to continue to be an open society.
It's still an open society, or do you see a change in terms of the security alertness that maybe you're not used to?
In terms of physical security, of course, there were lessons to be learned, and I think we're still working on that. And we need to tighten security in certain areas, because I think, as you say, this was a lesson to us. Nobody is immune. So security will be heightened. We need to find the appropriate balance between not locking ourselves completely in, but having an acceptable, good quality, sensible security, and that's ongoing work. But it's a very important work. It's a high priority for our government, and I think Indonesia has, of course, lived with the terror threat for a longer time than Norway.
Yes, and it's changed our way of life in terms of security now. But is extremism a problem in Norway?
I would say extremism is a global problem. It's not. I mean, our world is not. No nation is an island to itself anymore, and I think we are also affected in the same currents that you find in the rest of the world, to a lesser extent, but you still find them in Norway. I think it's also our global age. It gives, of course, lots of opportunities to good people for more effective communication, to stay in touch with friends, to do business more effectively. But it also opens up new avenues for extremists.
Absolutely, and it's much faster now to spread violence and hatred through the social media and the communication. Now, finally, how can diplomacy, which is your role now as an ambassador, improve the communication, especially in order to make people understand each other better? Because obviously a lot of these things arise because of misunderstandings or not willing to comprehend, for example, another country's culture or another religion's principles. I mean, what can diplomacy do in order to mitigate and improve the situation?
I think our role would be to try to facilitate others to actually do it. That more direct contact between students in different countries, of course, will increase the level of awareness of each other's cultures, and hopefully also respect of each other's cultures. More media exchanges more programs in Norway about Indonesia, more programs in Indonesia about Norway, contributes in a small way. I think media plays a very important role, both in reporting, but of course also in commenting on what's happening. And I think also on a higher level, exchanges between religious leaders have often proven to be very valuable. We are bringing a former bishop from Norway here next month. He is great friends with both the leaders of Mohammedia and you. So they're going to sit together and discuss these issues. And I think maybe sometimes direct cooperation between religious leaders is just as efficient as political exchanges.
Great, Ambassador Traffic. Thank you very much for talking to us, and good luck in your new post, and I hope you enjoy being in Indonesia, and I hope we can learn more about Norway through you.
Thank you so much, Desi, and we hope to bring you to Norway very soon to discover more about that as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.